Hi, it's Peggy at Headshots by Peggy, and today I am with Merrick, McCartha, and we are going to talk about gearing up for 2020. All right, so the new year is here. Pilot season is moments away.
Yes.
And what are you doing to gear up and get ready for this new amazing year?
Yeah, I do a lot of things at the beginning of the year. This is the time of year where it starts a new season for television. It's right after the holidays. This time of year they typically call pilot season, but it's really just more of the new season for the year. There's two basic seasons in the year for television production. It's what they call pilot season, and then in August is what they call episodic season. And they go for 4 to 5 months. There's a break, and then they switch over.
But with all the new platforms and streaming platforms, it's not as cut and dry as that
Correct.
anymore.
Yeah.
Things are in production year round.
Yeah, absolutely. There's with the new streaming platforms coming out now, a lot is changing, evolving. So you're going to see productions happening scattered throughout for different types of things. But yeah, that's changing the game. I mean, the things that we know now, things that we'll talk about today, some of it may not even be valid, in the next year because things are going so fast with the streaming. So keep yourself up to date on the business. That's really important. But this is a year to get your materials in order, to review what worked for you last year and things you can improve on for this year. And this is a great time to do that. Of course, your marketing materials, you want to make sure that your resume is up to date. All the great things you did last year should be updated if they aren't already. On your casting profiles, your resume needs to be up to date. Things like Actors Access and LA Casting, and I think what's the other one that's there? There's another one. It's Casting Frontier. That's what I'm thinking of. Also, your headshots, of course. Your headshots have to be up to date. And one thing I do is I look back and I see, like you do headshots, and you tell people, hey, these are the headshots that are the best part of your marketing strategy. These are what's going to get you noticed for the casting people. So clients come in and they pick their own headshots. Sometimes they pick what they think is great, and they think this is going to, and it may or may not work. So this is where you find out. You go back now and review because
a lot of times this is a mistake a lot of actors make.
Yeah.
And male and female both do this. They pick headshots that make them look hot or good or whatever.
I never do that. I never.
But you have to remember that this is your marketing strategy. How are you marketing yourself? What roles are you going for? You have to make sure that your headshots really match that role that you are, auditioning for. So what Merrick was saying is go back and see, because you can see what was submitted. You can see what headshots you or your agent submitted.
Right.
And what you got called in for.
Yes.
And kind of like, it's not an exact science, but it gives you an idea if every time you submit this headshot that you love so much, you never get an audition. Well, maybe that should be a Facebook headshot, not a profile headshot.
Correct. Usually your agent is going to pick the headshot that's submitted. And sometimes the casting profiles do a default. You have a default theatrical or default commercial headshot that just goes out whenever they click the button. But a lot of times agents will pick the one they like. And if you notice that they're picking a certain one, or there's one that keeps coming up, and that's the one that you're getting called in with, you might want to review that and either check with your agent, say, hey, have you submitted me for these other photos? Are they not getting in? That's one thing you can do. Or you can typically just take your own inventory of your email. So when you get a casting notice from your agent, the audition notice rather, that usually has the information for your audition, but it usually includes the photo that was submitted for that breakdown. So the email that you get saying you have an audition, it usually includes what the time is, location, and also should have a photo of you attached. That photo was what the casting director saw when they selected you for the audition. So track those, kind of get an idea of what's been the main one that you've been, and then look at the ones that just never show up. And these are typically the ones that you check with their agent. Hey, is this not working? Or you can make your assessment if you don't have an agent. Let's try something different with this look. And it may not be that the look is wrong. Maybe just something about the photo that you need to adjust to make it a little bit more, make it pop a little bit more. Maybe a wardrobe change, maybe a setting change. And you can talk to your photographer about that and kind of say, hey, I want to get new headshots. I want to get this look, but I want to change it because this isn't really working. So let's figure something out.
Right, because if you have an attorney headshot or the one that you submit for the businessman attorney, and also the doctor or whatever, and you're like, wow, I'm not getting a lot of auditions for this, and I feel I'm really strong in this. Then update, hey, the one that's still working good for you, you still look like that, keep that, and then update the other look that you're just that they're not picking, that they're not submitting for or whatever. Update that look, and then it shows, hey, you put a new headshot up, that helps. You don't have to get rid of all your headshots and put all new headshots up every 6 months, but you do want to add a new one into the mix and kind of keep that current. That helps with the algorithms as far as when casting people are seeing stuff, and it just helps them know that, hey, this person's serious about their career because they're always doing things. So
right, and you want to make sure that another part of that is that the casting people can see the date that your last headshot was updated, or any of your headshots were uploaded. So if you have a headshot that's from 2017, they're going to see it, and then you run the risk of them wondering if that's still what you look like. And if they have to guess, then now you're decreasing your chances of getting picked for the audition.
And not only that, but even if you think, oh, I look exactly the same, but you have changed as a person, and your headshot is going to look different because it's going to show who you are, not just your physical. A headshot's supposed to show all of you, your emotion, your you being in that character. And that's going to change as time changes because we all grow as humans. And so you want to get that updated headshot that's going to show, that in your eye, it's just going to be a little different than it was 2-3 years ago. Even if you think, hey, I still look the same. You really don't. None of us do. I mean, we like to think that, but we don't.
No.
We're different people.
No. The couple of points about that. I mean, there's one headshot that someone took of me years ago, and it still gets used. It's still on my casting profile. I still get auditions off of it. It's a great picture. I'm smiling.
But
it's
like
awesome.
3-4 years old.
But it's an older photo. The casting, and this is for a commercial, so the casting people don't care. So yeah, understand that. Yeah, you're going to have that photo that's old that people seem to like, but you want to make sure that you have at least an updated one. Yeah. That they know they can see what you look like now.
But you keep your headshots very updated, but that one just always stays in the mix.
It just stays because I like it, and people tend to like it, and I get called in for it, so what are you going to do? But I have the other ones. That's, that one that I like is one type, but I have the other ones that I use as well. But yeah, that's something to keep in mind with your headshot picks. Also with with these older headshots, you understand that the casting people, they can tell the date of that last headshot, but you always still want to make sure that you might have a new look about you that you want to try out, or as you grow, as you said, you get older, you're a different kind of person. You want to be able to show that off to the casting people so they can see it. So with that, some other photos, however, like even with the one that I get all the time, it may not be that it's the photo. It may be that I just have a relationship with the casting office and they know who I am, they know what I look like, so they just, oh yeah, that one. They don't care that it's old. Especially with commercials, which I have a lot of. I think that may be the case with this one because I do a lot of commercial auditions. They know me and they call me in. They know what I look like. So that could be it as well. So having them updated is important, but also developing a relationship with your casting directors so that they know who you are and what you look like. That's also important. So
let's talk about building relationships with casting directors. I mean, we talk about this from time to time, and I feel like it needs to be talked about often. So I think people need to understand what building a relationship with a casting director means. It doesn't mean, hey, let's go to dinner, let's go to a movie. That's not
Not in
the
these
kind of
days.
relationship that you're trying to build. But
It
how do
shouldn't
you?
be in these days anyway. Yeah, so yes, building a relationship with a casting director basically means that they've seen your work, they've talked to you, they know how you are as a person in some sense, and they have a good understanding of what they're going to get with you. So they know what they can expect when you go in the audition room. They have a good sense of what kind of experience you have as an actor professionally. And you like to think that they've gleaned from your experience that you know how to behave on set. So now you've got a relationship where they know who you are, they know what you like, they know, what things you might be good for. And these are the relationships that are very important. For instance, throughout my career now, I've been called in or selected to come in and do things for casting people, auditions that I didn't. They went directly to me. It wasn't a matter of me being submitted by my agent. They called my agent, say, "Hey, we'd like to see Merrick for this." That's because that casting director has seen me come in, seen what I do when I come in that room, and figured, okay, this role, I got a guy for this, and I'm one of those guys that they call in for this. And that's where you want to be with as many casting people as you can.
Yeah, you want them to think of you when they get a job and their job is to cast this project.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be on the top of their mind, like, hey, I know this guy's going to come and
Yeah.
be off book and be ready to go and
Yeah.
give a good
Yeah.
audition.
And think about that again as a business sense. The casting person has a job. Their job is to supply a project with actors suitable for that project. So yeah, I know you don't like to think of yourself as a commodity or just an object as an actor, but understand that you're filling a position for that casting director. So you want to be a go-to person in that sense, where they know you and they know that you're they know what they can expect from you. They know they can trust you. So always look at it as from a business perspective for that casting office, and why that's important for them. Why is it important? Why, when you go in the audition room, it's okay to ask questions if you're not sure, or to ask them, hey, can I try this differently? Because they need to present you to a director or producer. They want to present their best people, their best options to the director producer. So it's not going to be them trying to make you feel uncomfortable or throw you off. Why would they do that? They need a good list of options for their director. So they're not going to try to throw you off. They're not going to try to make you feel uncomfortable. They should actually try to make you feel as comfortable as possible to do your best, and that's what you should expect from a casting director.
So what are some things that you do to help build that besides always showing up to your audition? Now, sometimes you have multiple auditions and you have to juggle, but as a rule of thumb, unless you're on set somewhere else, you show up to your auditions and you show up on time. These are all things that are important. What else do you do to kind of foster that relationship and remind them, hey, I'm here?
And again, I'll step back a little bit, because you said that you show up to your auditions. And you really want to make a point to note that I've met or heard of several actors that just don't show up to the audition. I don't think many actors that do that understand how that affects your relationship with the casting office. You might think they're not going to miss you. You might think that, it's no big deal, I'll just get the next one. You might think that your agent's not really going to care. None of that's true. They will miss you. They will care that you're not there. Your agent will care that you didn't show up for a lot of reasons. So you're an actor and you're getting an audition and you decide not to show up. That is one of the worst things you can do for your career, especially when you're starting out, to not show up.
Just to put this into perspective, thousands of people submit.
Yeah.
Only 2%, maybe roughly 2 to 5%, get an audition. out of that 2 to 5%, 10% don't bother to show up. I mean,
Yeah, that's
crazy when you really think of the numbers.
That's a real number. About 10% just don't show up. So are you going to be in that 10% that don't show? Because that 10%, there's a turnover with that because they don't get called back in.
Yeah, because the casting director only has so many slots open. And if they gave you that time and you just decided not to bother with going in, then they're probably not going to give you another chance if you've done this several times to them. That they're gonna recognize that. So
Right.
it's hard to for you to be able to complain about not booking things when you don't even show up for auditions.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Saying you're trying hard as an actor, you're really trying to work on this. And I get it. You have another job, and they're not letting you off work half the time. Well, you know what? You really need to value what you need to do for yourself if you're really serious about your career, because there is no mercy on you if you're telling people, "Oh, I had to work." They don't care.
No.
And it's not so much they don't care, is that, hey, that's not going to work for them. You're not going to work for them as an actor if you're going to be missing stuff because you got to work.
Because then what if they book you and then you can't make it to a job? Or these are things that are considered in. These are things they think about.
Yeah, exactly. One of my teachers, Billy Coward, always said, you want to eliminate as many of those no things that you can, things that will make them say no. Try to eliminate that. This whole thing of I can only audition on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Mm-hmm. No. I only want to go out for serious dramatic roles. No. I don't want to do commercial. I just want to be in movies, only feature film movies, Marvel movies. No. So just realize that you have a career goal. Yes, that career goal takes work, and it's going to mean you getting experience or just doing different work to build your relationship and your reputation in the industry so that you can reach that goal. So just keep that in mind. Other things I do, getting back to your original question, than just showing up relatively on time, is you want to have a direct contact with them so that they get used to seeing your face. Here's my theory, because it apparently has been tested, that the more, as far as a marketing concept, this is real, the more time people see something, the more attractive or at least acceptable it becomes to them. So I try to make sure that they have as much points of contact with my headshot as they can, so that when it pops up in the submissions grid that they see, they're like, oh yeah, and it happens quick. These are quick things they have to do with casting, is pick out people that they know or that they like. So I will. I've met some casting directors over the last year. I'm going to be sending out postcards to the casting directors that I've gone in to see. I'm going to send out postcards to casting people that I perhaps haven't seen yet but want to see this year, because casting offices tend to continue casting new and different projects all the time. So once them seeing my face over and over, and then my agent submits, or my agent pitches me, their response should be, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I know who that is. You want that. You don't want the, oh yeah, I never heard of that guy, because they have no reason to trust you. So one of the tools that I like to use, and there's a couple great tools for building this system of marketing yourself to casting people so they can know who you are and build that relationship. One, everyone loves IMDb. IMDb, it is the International Movie Database. It is the industry standard for tracking your credits, for researching films, what actor was in that movie. That's IMDb. There's something called IMDB Pro. IMDB Pro is a little bit more detailed and in depth. That one will tell you more detail about projects, about actors. So you want to have, as an actor, an IMDb Pro account, because now you have more flexibility with what you can do with your own IMDb page, and you have visibility into a lot more than you do than you would if you just had IMDb.
So you can look who's producing it, who's casting it, who's involved in it, in all the different areas.
Correct.
You can dig a lot deeper into.
You can dig deeper. A lot of times, one of the bigger benefits for IMDb Pro is looking up agents. because agents' contact information is kind of guarded. You don't really get to see that on IMDb, but IMDb Pro you can. And when you're looking for an agent, that's one of the tools that you want to have available to you so you can research the agencies. The other tool that I like to use is called Casting About. Casting About is one of the best tools out there for actors. And I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch the episode where the guys that created Casting About are on. It's
Yeah, they were on last year. I think it was a 3-part.
Yeah.
We talked for hours.
Yeah.
And so it's worth your time.
And they're great guys. And so the backstory with them is they created Casting About, and then they joined in with Breakdown Services under their umbrella. So Breakdown Services handles, I want to say 90% of the TV and perhaps film production casting in LA and perhaps New York. So when a casting director needs actors to audition, they put out what's called a breakdown through Breakdown Services. And that goes out where agents can see the new breakdowns. They get an email, I believe, and they can look and see what the roles are, what they're looking for, and the agents then go to their roster and select from the headshots you've sent your agent, that's on your Actors Access profile. They can select what actors from their roster they want to submit for that project. So Casting About has full access to what's casting because it's all the same company. They have access to several pieces of information about each project. So it's a subscription that you get. It's about $10 a month. It's not really expensive at all. And you log in, and we're going to put up a couple graphics for you to see. So when you log in, this is the main page that you see for Casting About. If you look at this, you've got, it opens up to a default page that has, all the projects that are casting. And sort of the upper center of the page, you'll see tabs that will drop down to tell you ways you can sort through this. So the first tab to the far left is going to be what type of project it is. So you can click the tab, and then you see a drop down, and that tab will show that, yeah, you can sort it to narrow it down to all theatrical, all television. It can be half-hour episodic, 1-hour episodic. It can be feature film. It can be ultra low budget. It can go all the way down there. So you pick one, and that'll sort it out to this. In this case, we did all episodic, and that will tell you all the projects that are out there in episodics, which are TV shows that are casting. And in this, you can see the show, you see the casting office, you see the names of the casting director, the casting assistant, the casting associate. They're all there for you to see. And then there's a notes section as well, which we'll get into. So the useful part about this is you know who these casting people are. You have their name, and now you can at least have a sense of who's doing what show. So when you come across these names in the industry, in your work, you'll know to look out for them. Or if you want to build what's called a target list, which I do. Target list is something you do to focus your relationship building effort to specific casting directors for specific shows or projects. Many times it is casting offices that are casting types of shows that you usually are fit for, and that's when you use this tool, right? And when you are going through this, you might use Casting About for this. This is a great tool for that. The next tab you'd see in Casting About is going to be whether or not what the status of that project is. So you click, there's a drop down, and it shows whether it's on hiatus, whether it's casting, whether it's in production, or whether it's shooting or post-production. These are things you'll see in that drop down. That's a great tool to look up as well. The next tab you'll see is going to say you can narrow your search a bit better as to your own personal notes. So you can click on it and it'll sort it to casting people that you've sort of put a little notch by their name to track everything they're doing. It can be projects or casting people that you've added your own personal note by, so you can track through that. That's another personalization tool for casting about. And then it's also the region. So there's a tab to drop down for whether it's LA or New York. And these are great search tools. And there's also a generic search bar at the top. So in that search bar, you can search a specific casting director if you don't know, if you don't know everything they're doing. So you can type in this case, I typed in Kim Coleman, who's a great casting director, casts a ton of projects. So you type in her name in the search bar, and then the next screen is all the projects that she's doing. We only get to see some of them in this still slide, but you can see all the projects she's doing. It shows whether they're casting, whether they're on hiatus, and all the other people that are working with her for these projects. So when someone says, "Hey, I want you to meet a casting director," they cast this great show on TV. This tool now, you can look them up directly and say, "Okay, what are they doing? Is this a real thing? Are they really casting?" And Casting About will be able to tell you that's a real, legit casting director. So it's a great tool for actors to be informed, to keep yourself safe also. Another thing I did is you can just click on the name of Kim Coleman in that list, and a screen will pop up. And the pop-up screen, that gives you the things she's currently doing that are active for that casting director. In this case, I typed in, because Kim Coleman has so many, I typed in Eric Soler, and he's got a couple of great projects. So you see his there, and so you have a couple of projects that are currently active for him. You have any notes that I made a note for him, I think years back, and then you can type in new notes. These notes are for, hey, I auditioned for him for this role, or I met him at so-and-so. And these are ways for you to keep track of your relationships with the casting director.
And only you can see those.
And only I can see those.
The casting directors don't see them. It's just notes for you.
Yeah.
So that when you sit down to send a postcard,
Yeah.
or you get an audition, you can go back and say, "Oh, I auditioned for them, last year, and we talked about their dog," or whatever.
Exactly.
Just a little personal note, so that when you go, it just gives you that, "Oh yeah, how are you doing?"
Exactly.
That little.
Exactly. And again, it shows you the casting director, it shows you their assistant and their associate. Now, all the three categories in that list are important: the casting director, the casting associate, the casting assistant. They're important because so many times they turn out to be head casting directors later on in their career, or they open up their own shop. So these are also people that you want to make sure that you're building a relationship with. So keep that in mind, that this tool can tell you all that. Now, even for a specific CD, he may have a different casting associate, or maybe he has a different casting assistant that they work with per project. So you get to know who all these people are. They typically are the people that are greeting you when you walk in to the audition room. When you walk into the audition lobby area to sign in, they are sometimes the people that walk you back into the audition room. Sometimes there's two people in there when you walk in. One person's running the camera, the other person is reading with you. That could be the associate and the assistant. That could be the casting director and the associate. Not sure, but you want to kind of get an idea of who these people are and remember them, because these are the people that you want to build that relationship with, so that when your name, your photo, and your headshot comes up, they look and they go, "Oh yeah, that guy came in for a few times. He's really good." That's what you want to have. So use this tool. It's one of the strongest tools you could have in your arsenal as an actor to help. So one of the other great tools that Casting About has is the notes section. So in the far right of the screen, you see this next section that lists how many that it's SAG-AFTRA, how many episodes it has. It also may list the date that it's going to shoot. So one of the things that I do is in the general search button, in the window, I might, if I want to know what's shooting in January or February, I type in January or February, click search, and in that notes section, it'll say shoots in February, shoots in January, shoots in March. So you have an idea of what's coming up. And these are really important for when someone says, "Hey, this casting person has an upcoming project," you can look and figure out when it's going to happen. Or you can figure out when's the next project going to be shooting that this casting director is working on. So a lot of great things, a lot of great insight for that tool. And of course, one of the main things I do each year is at least once a year, which you should do throughout, and I talked about this before, is sending out postcards. So Casting About has a thing where you can print out labels for mailing to casting directors. So there's a button that says print labels at the top. And when you click on that, this window pops up, and now you have an option on how you want your address label to look. It can be just it could be the show, it could be the casting office, or it could be the individual casting director, depending on what you clicked on the other on the casting director screen. And then it'll print out a sheet of casting director labels. You can use a label sheet. That's a sticky sheet that you can peel off the labels. Have you seen these? Or what I do is I handwrite mine. I feel like making a target list, it's not that big. I want to make sure the casting office understands how personal it is for me. It's not some company that did this. It's me handwriting it to you. So I'll print the addresses out on a sheet, and I handwrite them on each envelope or postcard, and I handwrite my note to them on the postcard to them. And I think it makes a difference.
And again, this is effective if you make a target list, not if you just print out, every casting director in LA. You want to target it, people that tell the story that you tell, people that, are doing projects that you would be a fit for. And then you can make it personal.
Yeah, exactly. I think, casting people get a lot of things already. And yes, I understand people feel like postcards don't work. I think it's more how you use them and when you use them. If you've never met them before, you don't have credits, and you don't have good headshots, and you send them a postcard, how do you expect them to work? What do you expect them to do with that postcard? They may certainly look up your credits, and you have none, and there's no way they're going to call you in for that. If your headshot's not great or unprofessional, they're not even going to think about looking you up. Or if you are sending them some generic thing that doesn't really say anything because they've never met you before, and you have nothing else to back up why they should meet you, you're not going to have the effectiveness. So be careful how you use that system. The postcards do work. You just have to use them the right way. Every year that I do the postcards.
Yeah, every year.
Every year I do the postcards without fail. Soon after the postcards go out, and I know they've been mailed and delivered, I get auditions from some of the people that I sent.
You get called in
Yeah.
for projects that you weren't submitted for
Yeah,
necessarily.
exactly.
You get, and it's every time you send them out, we see a flux in auditions, like within the week or so.
Sure,
Always.
sure. So again, this is all about what I call firepower. So I've got my dynamite agent, I've got a dynamite manager, and now I've got my own self-marketing. So I'm all working in tandem with my team to have as much firepower out there for this industry, because there's a lot of competition, like you said.
Yeah.
Thousands of submissions per role for a TV show, and only 20, 30 people get to go in to read for that role. So what are you doing to make sure you're on the mind of that casting person, or that you are a face they recognize and are familiar with and are comfortable with when your headshot goes into them? These are the things you want to be able to accomplish when you're marketing to your casting people.
Right, because it's a team effort. I mean, a successful actor has a team behind them. It's definitely a team effort, but you as the actor have to do something. You can't just sit back and say, "Oh, my agent's taking care of that. My manager's taking care of that. I'm just gonna sit home and."
And again, I don't want to judge anyone. If your preference is, hey, you know what, it's not a big deal to me. I don't need to work. I don't need to be an actor for my career. I like that I'm in real estate and I just want to be able to get roles if I can. It's cool. That's fine. Not knocking it.
Right.
But if you're a struggling actor and you want this, but you're doing these other things that are averse to your career, then realize where the conflict is. You want to have a great career, you want to be a breakout star, but you're not going to work. You're not going to train and take classes with great teachers. You're not going to put the effort to build the relationships. you're not going to work to understand the business of acting for yourself, then no, there's few people that'll have sympathy for you. So keep that in mind. If you want to be a successful actor, it takes work. You have to be proactive. You can't sit back. You have to be professional. You have to train and be the best you can at your craft and know how to compete in an audition room. These are things that you really got to understand to be a successful actor.
And it all takes time and training, but it's things that you can do. It's something that you can do if you love.
Yeah, if you love it, you might be able to do it. I've heard of people that
That have done it.
that kind of work, pretty consistently.
Yeah.
It happens.
Well, as always, I know everyone loved everything that you had to say, Merrick. I appreciate you taking the time.
Do you think they did?
They always send me nice little messages when they come on. They do.
No.
Yeah.
You've had great, huge people on your shows. Bill Duke and, oh my God, A. Martinez and Stephen Tobolowsky and Laura Gard. Frank Hollison.
I know.
You have all these legends on your show.
And they like you.
They don't.
I get notes but I do. I always we love it when Merrick comes on. Merrick's little fan base.
Well, if they're casting people, great. Thank you very much.
But thank you so much for taking the time to give some insight in this, because I don't know about you guys, but 2020 is going to be awesome for us. And so we are excited. And it is time to think about updating your headshots and getting your resume up to date and getting out there and doing stuff and getting proactive and making this the best year yet. Yeah,
you've been procrastinating a lot probably all past year. If you like, I just want to wait for this, wait for that. Now's the time.
Just do it.
Now's the time. Get your resume updated, get your training in, get your new headshots and update your casting profiles. But now is the time. Because after this, it's like no one's going to have time to look through or to try to figure out who you are. This is the time to get yourself presented out there so you have this consistent hard work ethic going forward for this season. And that's really going to make a difference.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching this. Make sure you share it all over the place. Leave me tons of comments. Let me know what you want us to talk about in future, because I'm here every single week. Every once in a while, Merrick shows up with me. I have wonderful guests all the time. So make sure you leave me those comments. And most importantly, have an amazing week, and I'll see you next week.